first of all, I want you to go to my live before I even start this video and check out the interview that I did with former boxer Steve Cunningham. He pretty much said that he's done with boxing, and he pretty much aired everybody out, and he spoke on a lot of different controversial things from, PED use, and he aired out Fury, he aired out boxing as a whole. And this is what you want, where people like to play politically correct, or they like to turn a blind eye, or they like to be ignorant to a situation. He was truthful in what he said in the interview. So I want y'all to go check out the Steve Cunningham interview. Really good stuff. All right. So with that being said, all right. So it is official that the Denver Nuggets will, and I repeat, will not, N-O-T, repeat as champions, as they were eliminated by Anthony Edwards in the Minnesota Timberwolves. But this particular game, Karl Anthony Towns and Daniels carried them, willed them to victory. Anthony Edwards didn't particularly have a great game. He finished with 16 points, playing 44 minutes. But hey, this is what you call a team. When your leader is having a bad game, you have guys that can pick up the slack. And I've said this about Anthony Edwards, and now, as you can see, it deems to be true. I told you Anthony Edwards has this period where sometimes he drifts off, and he goes flat. Right now, Anthony Edwards is about to play in one of the biggest series of his career, of his young career. And he has to be ready for the moment. He has to live for the moment, and he has to be in the moment. He said, don't ride the wave, be the wave. Well, now he is the wave, and he needs to wave his team to victory in this series and go and play in the finals, in which we all believe will be probably the Boston Celtics. But then again, you never know. It would be interesting to see a Pacers Timberwolves finals, or a Dallas Pacers final, or a Dallas Celtics finals. I think I know Adam Silver is somewhere punching the walls because his plan for a white Eastern European Conference Finals got spoiled by the Timberwolves. He went to Florida. He dropped the punch bowl. Damn. So, and shout out to Ant-Man. Shout out to the T-Wolves. But this, the player of the game, of course, was Karl Anthony Towns, KAT, K-A-T, for basically picking up the slack in Daniels. As far as Denver go, Denver just gave it away in the second half. Denver only had 2 players that were in double figures. Minnesota had, I think, 5 or 6. So, with that being said, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say this was the most desirable closeout game. This isn't something we're going to talk about for 20 years to come. This is one of these game 7 where, okay, the Timberwolves won. This has been an interesting series, to say the least. All these games, for the most part, have been blowouts. No dramatics, no last-second shot to win the series, even though this series went seven games. But this is one of the, I'll say this ain't going to be a legendary 7-game series. This is not going to be one of these series we talk about for 20 years to come, depending on what the end results is. Either this series is going to define Anthony Edwards if he can get past the Dallas Mavericks and get to the finals and win, and basically jumpstart his career becoming an NBA legend, which we all believe he has the capability of doing. Keep in mind, this Timberwolves team is relatively young. They're very young for the most part. Yeah, KAT came up big. A lot of people have been dogging Cat. I'm just one of these dudes. I never really criticized Cat, and I never praised him. He was just a guy because you got to remember the lottery or the draft he was in. I mean, it wasn't much to desire about the draft he was in for the most part. I mean, he was the best player in that particular draft. And it's not like the dude has been, a fraud. He just been solid. But I think this particular series, we seen what he was capable of doing. I guess when you look at Cat, maybe he just didn't have a solid team around him. He just didn't have a good supporting cast. And then they went on to, even though Gobert single-handedly damn near cost them this series. He almost cost Cat and Anthony Edwards this series, but we'll have to see how they're going to play against Dallas. Breaking down that series, I'm going to talk about this. A lot of people believe that Dallas don't have no business winning that series. A lot of people believe that Dallas they was the recipient of the luck of the draw. They got a couple of questionable calls and that went their way that helped them secure the series. Now, I think Ant-Man will come up big in this series. I think the key components in the series, you look at Dallas and you look at the Timberwolves. I mean, you look at the matchups. You got to ask yourself which team seems more ready to win a championship. Now, here's the thing. Who will the fans and who will the media be rooting for to win this series? Because this is going to play a key factor too. Because there are some people that are still mad at Kyrie Irving for whatever apparent reason, which I still don't understand why people have this vitriol for Kyrie Irving. Just like I don't understand the hatred that people have for Devin Haney and the disdain. Nah. It is really gonna come down to Luka. Is Luka gonna try to be a facilitator in this series or a scorer? But who do I like in this series? I mean, let's just be honest. We should favor Minnesota in this series, but I got a feeling we're gonna be having conversations talking about the officiating, which I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I don't want to come back and be sitting up breaking down a game talking about how many bad calls got made or calls that didn't get made that should have got made. I want to talk about good, wholesome, clean playing basketball. The best series is a series where the referees are not even talked about, where you talk about the basketball players instead of talking about the referees or the officiating. That's what I want to see. That's all I want to hear other channels talking about. That's what I only want to talk about, and that's what I hope we all can talk about, because at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure most of us don't want to sit up here and talk about the officiating. But if it happens, we have to have those conversations, because sometimes a game or a series can come down to one or two or three bad calls. So we're going to have to see, or calls not made. So I hope for the most part, this is going to be one of these series where we see good basketball played. And we talk about the play of Anthony Edwards and Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, Reed, Daniels. That's what I want to talk about. And hopefully Gobert remember how to play defense in this series. Oh, politicking. Well, I can tell you right. Hey, I can tell you right now, Leroy, you pose the roof for your team. Because if the Warriors were playing, I'd be saying that the Warriors was going to win whatever series they in. But I have came to the reality that the Warriors need to make some drastic changes to be able to contend for a championship. I think in the summer, the Warriors are going to have to try to go a little bit younger. They're going to have to figure out what they want to do with Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. The Warriors need to make some adjustments. The Warriors are past the point where they're just, playing for a spot in the playoffs and then getting eliminated in, playing games. No, the Warriors have to try to go back to the playoffs and go deep into the playoffs. So the Warriors are going to have to figure out what they want to do. And keep in mind, we have to have these conversations as well. Stephen Curry just made 36. Okay. I think we can officially have this conversation if Stephen Curry's best years is behind him. Because that's a legitimate question too. That's a legitimate conversation. So now you have to figure out what do you need to put around Stephen Curry. We all know Stephen Curry isn't going anywhere. They're going to let Stephen Curry retire a Warrior in all likelihood. But we'll talk about the Warriors on another day. Right now, we're talking about the T-Wolves versus the Dallas Mavericks. And I think it's going to be a good series. I think it's going to be a really good series. I can tell you right now, there will not be a sweep whatsoever. I doubt it that it's highly unlikely that this series will be a sweep. I think this is, if I ever seen possibly a 6 or 7 game series, it'll be this one right here. I think this series at the minimum is probably going 6 games. Now, who wins this 6 games? We'll just have to see. Well, Leroy, I've been campaigning for this for a while. The league itself has made too many mistakes in far as, letting one person carry the league and then making the league about, 4 specific teams in general, making it have to be the Celtics or the Lakers, lightweight the Heat. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think the league really ever cared for the Golden State Warriors, but they had to tolerate the Golden State Warriors. If it was up to them, it would be the Knicks, the Lakers, the Celtics. I think to a certain degree, they want the Clippers to get to a point to where they can be competitive, but the Clippers just can't seem to get over the hump. And I think now what the league has to do is market. They have to market the league around cities and cities, teams, and players playing in that particular city. We already know what LA is like. We already know what New York is like. Okay? We know what Brooklyn is like. We know what New York is like. But I think they need to take the same formula that the NFL has been doing. The NFL, it doesn't matter who plays in the Super Bowl for the most part. People are going to watch because it's the Super Bowl. And like I said, the league, big mistake they made was letting one man carry the league and Michael Jordan. And then to a certain degree, at least when Michael Jordan was gone, for the most part, you still had Kobe Bryant. You still had Kobe Bryant. Then you got to see LeBron didn't single-handedly carry the league, not like he thought he did, but he was, I'll put it to you this way. He was the biggest star in the league, but he wasn't carrying the league. If you catch my drift. Because LeBron couldn't do what Michael Jordan did. Because you saw LeBron James lose in the finals more than Michael Jordan. I think you saw LeBron damn near lose in the finals more than Michael Jordan won rings in the finals. LeBron James lost more finals than he won. So that's the thing. But Shout out to the Timberwolves. But now you guys understand what I've been saying for the longest. I told y'all. I've been trying to tell y'all that home court advantage, home field advantage don't mean jack shit. Now y'all finally see that home court advantage don't mean a damn thing. If you execute your game plan better than the other team, it don't matter it don't matter where the hell you playing. The best team is always gonna win in all likelihood. And the Timberwolves were the best team in this series. And we got to see it. They could have wrapped this series up early. I really think them having that long layoff bothered them, and it took them, them losing 3 games in a row to figure out, okay, we got to put it together. Because when they didn't have much time in between games, you see how they played. So you have to give them credit for them to win 2 straight, lose 3 in a row, in which it was looking like this series was over. And for them to win the last 2 games speaks volumes of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Yeah, I'm gonna call my son because he's out there. Shaq, Kobe, LeBron, KD. Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Listen. Here's the thing. Keep in mind, we can make an argument that when KD played in the finals, when he was with the Warriors, he proved that you could make an argument that KD and his run with the Golden State Warriors was the best player in the league. So it was never, here's the thing about LeBron. It was always a debate, was LeBron the best player in the league? I mean, he had, a huge fan base, but it was always debatable, was LeBron James the best player in the league? And you can make that assessment by how many scoring titles he won. Because I think LeBron James only led the league in scoring, twice? Once? I know he went on to become the all-time leading scorer, but he played, he had to play like 20 plus seasons. So where Michael Jordan, in the Michael Jordan era, it wasn't even up for debate who was the best player in the league. If you even remotely tried to say there was somebody better than Michael Jordan, when Michael Jordan won his first set of championships, it wasn't even up for debate. You would be instantly shut down. And when Michael Jordan won his last set of championships, it wasn't for discussion. Where in LeBron James' case, it was always debatable. It was always debatable. Because you still had, for the most part, you still had Kobe, who was playing really good basketball. Then KD came. Then Stephen Curry came. Shaq for the most part. I'm gonna say this about Shaquille O'Neal. And somebody, I don't know who said it. I don't know who said it, but this discussion, I'm gonna have to bring Ticket on here one day, and I'm gonna link up with Ticket. I really think, to a certain degree, those back-to-back MVP awards that Steve Nash won, did he deserve them? Could you make an argument that he deserved them? Yeah, but the question is, should he really have won? Because I believe the first championship that he never won a championship. I believe the first MVP that he won, I really felt they should have gave that to Shaquille O'Neal. And I think, to a certain degree, I think that negates this whole argument about Shaquille O'Neal being the most dominant or the best center that ever played. Because Because when you think about it, that's the problem. Shaquille O'Neal only won one MVP. Same thing with Kobe Bryant. The second MVP that Steve Nash won. I thought Kobe Bryant should have won. So was the league making a PR move because at the same time they were tired of the black players dominating and always win? Now look, when Dirk won the league MVP, had no problem with it. No controversy behind it. Dirk deserved it. End of story. So, and I think it wasn't no argument when Dirk won the league MVP. It wasn't no argument. But a lot of people, when Steve Nash won back-to-back MVPs, there was a lot of question marks surrounding that. Now, unfortunately, there wasn't this. And had this particular platform existed, I think you would have heard a lot of people say, man, I don't know about this. Oh, appreciate. Hey, Marcus, I'm just one of these guys that's just telling the truth. Yeah, I know what you gonna say about the Kobe thing. That should that have been a factor? Should that have been a factor? Because technically, Kobe never went to jail for anything. Technically, Kobe was never arrested for anything. I don't even think they suspended him for that. Did Kobe Bryant get suspended? Hey, Stephen B. Did Kobe Bryant get suspended for that chick for that chick? I don't even remember him serving a suspension. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. He didn't even. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't even remember him getting suspended. I know it. Yeah, and that's true. It's something. Yeah. Okay. So there you have it. It's something to it. No, listen. Steve Nash. He play. Listen, Steve Nash deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. That's fine. But I always questioned those back-to-back MVPs he won. I definitely thought Shaq should have won, which would have given him his second league MVP. I definitely thought Shaq should have won that year. And then the next year, I thought Kobe should have won. And I think to a certain degree, I think that hindered both Kobe's career to a certain degree and Shaq's career because that hurt both of them. It is no way on God's green earth you can sit up here and tell me that Kobe Bryant, a guy that scored over 30,000 points, that finished like at the time, I think maybe third or fourth in scoring at the time. There's no way you can tell me a guy that won 5 championships, Shaquille O'Neal, a guy that won 4 championships. There is no way you can sit up here with a straight face and tell me that they shouldn't have won more than one MVP apiece. Kobe, I want let that sink in, you guys. Let that sink in, brothers. Let that sink in. Kobe Bryant, Kobe Bryant, and Shaquille O'Neal got 2 league MVPs between them. They got 5 finals MVPs in between them. So make that make sense. LeBron James has 4 finals MVPs. He has 4 league MVPs. So I want y'all to make that make sense. Shaquille O'Neal finished his career with only with only 1 league MVP. Kobe Bryant finished his career with only 1 league MVP. That's what we should be talking about. That's the question we should be asking. Who I'll put it to you this way. It's going to be an entertaining and fun series. I don't know which direction to go. I could see Dallas winning this series, and I could see the Timberwolves winning this series. I'm going to be honest with you. This series may, like I said earlier, this series could get decided by officiating. I hope it don't be that way, but it could. But I do think it's going to be a good series. I just can't see. I mean, I've been wrong before, but not, I've been right more than I've been wrong. I cannot see this series being a 4 or 5 game series unless one of these teams just all of a sudden turn into, the Golden State Warriors of, a few years ago. And I just don't see that type of squad in either team, even though Minnesota is very defensively sound. But I hope to God we don't have games like what we had, tonight in the closeout game. That 98-90, that reminded me of the mid 90s and in the late 90s. And this is why they started to alter the rules a little bit to make it more easier for guys to score, taking away, the hand checking and the man-to-man defense and playing a lot of the zones, like what they do now. You don't see, so because I have to admit, in the 90s, like in the 90s going into the 2000s, those 79 to 77 games, they were terrible to watch. They were bad for the eyes. Now, do I like seeing a whole bunch of 135 to 133 games? No, but 115, 116, 110, 105, that's cool. But y'all remember, if you pass 40, you remember those 88 to 85 games, or 79 to, you know what I'm saying, 81 to 79. You would just be like, damn. So some of those games were eyesores. So that's why David Stern adjusted the rules, because he wanted to see, just like the NFL did. And now the NFL, based off the fact that now you can't really, you can't horse collar tackle, you can't, you can't pick somebody up and tackle them. I mean, it's getting to the point, like they talking about you might be fined for that. I'm like, man, come on, man. So you could possibly see the NFL, you based off that they didn't change the rules again, you may see a whole bunch of 30 point and 40 point games this season. But anyway, you guys, appreciate you guys tapping in. I'm out. So you gonna say